Hello everyone, today we'll be looking at the fundamentals in Python. Okay, so what are those concepts that you need to know? So first of all, we'll be starting with the variable. So what are variables? Variables are containers which give you the access to determine what they hold. Okay, and an example of a variable is I create a variable, we call it num, is equals to 100. Now this is an example of a variable. We said a variable are containers that allow you to determine what they contain. All right, now that's a variable. So I'll say here so they give you the access to determine what they contain. Okay, so now in Python, when you want to create a variable, there are rules you need to know. Very important. The first one is that you cannot start a variable with a digit. If you do that, it's going to run into an error. That's one. Two, we cannot use special characters to create a variable. So to create a variable, let's say we have @ examples of special characters, the $sign, percentage, and also the and sign. So we cannot use this now to create a variable. Then also the creating a variable is case sensitive. When I say case sensitive, I'm talking about is that when you create a variable, look at now, we created a variable called num with a capital letter. If I create another variable, call it num small letter, and I give it past 10, these are two different variables. Please take note of that. Case sensitive, meaning that one that is a capital letter is different from the one of the small letter. Then also, we do not use certain words to create a variable. Why? Because they are key reserved words. In terms of for, if, pass, class. Okay, we don't use this word to create a variable. Now I'll be going deep into variables using the data type. Okay, so in Python there are different data types. So the first one we're going to look at is the string data type. The string, meaning what does the string do? It captures text. Okay, text, and it captures text in terms of using the double quotient. So an example of a string, I can say name is equals to Benson. So this is a string. Also, we can also write a string in this manner. So we can use the double quotient and the single quotient as well to do that. That's for the string. Then integer talks about numbers. An example we did, num is equals to 100. So this is an integer. Why? Because the whole number. Then the next one also is the float. The float, we can say num is equals to 29.7. Why is it a float? Because it has decimal numbers. Okay, then the next one is the boolean. So the boolean holds a condition true or false. So write a variable called condition is equals to true. Okay, equals to true. Okay, so when we do that, we can use the shift enter to run the code. Now let us look at some characters that we need to know about. Okay, the first one we want to see now is we want to see the Newline character. So the Newline character helps us now to write the information but in different lines. Now an example will be a variable called statement, and I write so the demarcation of the new line is \n. Okay, so they're all together. Now when I run this now, it's not going to give us an output. Why? Because there's a function responsible for showing the value. So to show a value, we're going to use what we call the print function. The print function. So I'll use print, allocate the statement. So when I run this now, you can see we're having name very easy. Okay, so going to put a space there. Python is very easy. Then you see the \n is going to shift this information to the next line. So that's what nline character does. Then the multiple line character, the multiple line string, is that it helps us hold large information. Okay, in terms of statement is equals to I'll call this information again, but this time around I'm going to remove the n line \n. So when I remove this now, using the multiple line is denoted using the 3 double quotients. Okay, so many informations, you can write as much and much informations inside here and it will still run. So I use the print function. Okay, saying statements not defined. Statements, okay, I think it's a mix up. Okay, so now we have our information. You see, I didn't use the \n line / but it still give the same output. Now the next one we want to look at now, the next concept we want to look at now is the string quotient. So the string quotient, so the single quotient, sorry, is, I can say names, and I use this. What makes this a single quotient? You can notice you see just a one quotient at the front and at the back. Then for a double quotient, I can say name is equals to. So the difference is one has a double, one has a single. You can see at the end, at the beginning and at the end. Okay. Then also we have what we call comments. So we have multiple comments and we have a single comment. So an example of a single comment, I'll use one comment, one slash, and I write an information. So what comment help us to do in programming is that it helps us keep an information that the kernel does not see, but the next programmer can read it. In case of whereby you're trying to explain what the code is all about. That's for single. Then for the multiple, we have using the double hash and write an information. Okay. So that's for comments. Then we also have the escape line character. So the escape line character is when we want to capture the one quotient. Example, I'll say info is equals to it's a boy. When we run this now, we're going to run into a little error. So to avoid that problem, we're going to use the slash here and use the print function now to print the information. When I run this now, you can see it's a boy. Okay, that's why the / helps us to get this it's a boy. Then the next we are going to look at is the string concatenation. So string concatenation means to add. The first thing we're going to look at is the string to a string concatenation. So for a string to string concatenation, I'll say using the print function, hello world. This is a string, this is a string. Now when we run this now, you can see we are having joint words together. So to avoid this, we use the quotient, a space in between, and when we run this now, we have the information. Now the next one we want to look at is the string and the variable. So to get the string, we'll say name hello hello. Then the next thing, we'll just copy this information, we paste here, and we change this to name. So when I run this now, the same outcome, but this time around we have a variable. Now variable to variable, what I'll do is we copy this information, copy, paste it here. So I'm going to have the next one, name is equals to world, and we'll close it. Okay, then change this to name here, and when I run this now, you see the same outcome. So now we're adding both variables together. Then string formatting. What's string formatting all about? It helps us to inject variables into our statement. So we have a statement, let's say we have a statement saying my name is, okay, we have this information, and let's say the name is equals to, okay. Now if we want to put this Job inside my name is Job, we can use the normal string format. So the normal string format, I'll use the print function, call out the info dot format, then I pass in the name. So when I run this now, you see my name is Job. So to use, that's for the normal string formatting. Then for the formatting string literals, also known as the F string format. So the F means formatting. Okay, so I'll use the print, and I'll just copy this information here. Before I do that, I'll use the F double quotient and I paste that information. Remember to move the previous double quotient. Then here now I'm going to add the name here. Okay, so when I do this, I close my brackets, we have my name is Job. Now the next one we want to look at is string method. So string methods here, we want to manipulate variables. So the first thing we are going to do now is we're going to create a variable. We'll call the variable word, and we pass in some information. Please give a space in between. Then the next one, word1. We'll write it all in caps. Okay, so I run this. Now we want to use the lower method. So the lower method now, to get the lower method, we want to convert this happy Saturday to a lowercase. So say print, we call the word one dot lower, and I run this happy Saturday. That's to manipulate it. Okay, so now they're not small letters. Then for capitalize, meaning that we want to have just the first letter capital while others are small letter. So I'll do the same thing. I'll just copy this information and I'll paste it here. I'll just change the lower to capitalize. Okay, so when I run this now, you can see happy, the H is on capital letter while the rest are in small letters. The same thing if we want to replace an information. Let's say we want to replace. So what I will do is I want to replace the Python with JavaScript. Okay, so I'll use the replace method. So I'll change this information from word, we'll leave it as word because we want to use the information of the first variable. Then we'll call replace. Then we'll pass in what we want to replace, Python. Then JavaScript. Okay. So when we run this now, we have JavaScript is easy, no longer Python. Then the next method is strip. We want to strip. That means we want to remove the space in between the double quotient and the Python. So what I'll do is I'll still copy the next information, which I have already automatically. So I'll change this now to word dot strip. Okay. When I run this now, you can see Python is easy. There's no longer a space. in between. All right, then split means that we want to have them in terms of separate strings. So I'll copy and paste again, and I want to do that with the word 1, meaning happy Saturday. So what I'll do is I'll change this lower to split, and when I run this now, happy Saturday. Then lastly, the next one is the title method. Title method means we want to have each word have a capital letter. So we can copy this, change this lower to title. Okay, and when we run this now, we have capital letter, the first word, and also the second word. So we have come to the end of the class. I hope we were able to understand the Python fundamentals.